The battle for Saints Haven was the stuff of sagas and triumphal monuments. Its tale resonates throughout the history of the Imperium, for it was a clash not just of blades and armor, but of ideologies, and even, some have said, of the gods themselves. Calgar had put into place a battle plan that had such a slim chance of success that even his closest warriors and advisors had balked at it. Yet there was little other choice. The planet was in turmoil. Even where the Imperial leaders had been able to turn the warmongering of the Xenos invaders to their advantage, they had bought but a minor reprieve, or precipitated a situation where one foe was dealt with, only for another to rise to prominence. By the best estimates of the Neo-Vellum Vitae Squire Gestults, the planet's population had been halved and then halved again. But Calgar would not countenance the extreme solution of Exterminatus. He was challenged by Roquillian Xanthus, Chapter Master of the Necropolis Hawks, whose approach to diplomatic matters was to quote long tracts of the Codex Astartes that reinforced his chosen points. Calgar countered that his own plans were already in motion, and that the Primarch himself had stated Vigilus would not fall. He would not see that maxim turned into a lie. Marnius walked out from the Vigilus Senatorium and climbed the high steps to the governor's palace. His footsteps left crimson smears on the marble slabs, for even here there had been recent bloodshed. He reached the Eyrie of Reflection, the highest level of Saints Haven that was not ablaze, and there he marshaled the Victrix and Extremis guards into a living fortress. The deep azure of their battle plate glowed orange in the flame of the spires above. His words, conveyed by Vox Skull servitors to the loud hailer networks of the Ecclesiarchy, he issued his decree. It was a challenge to Abaddon himself. Face him in single combat. To the victor would go the planet itself. The War Master heard the news of Calgar's rash gambit soon enough, for Harkin Worldclaimer and his Raptor host still haunted the upper levels of Hyperia and made haste to convey the message to their master. As Calgar's words were relayed, Abaddon smiled, his long canine teeth glinting red in the twilight. In one hand, Abaddon wielded Draconian, a demon sword of pure, murderous intent that could eat the souls of those it struck. And on the other, he wore the Talon of Horus, the same baleful device that had claimed the life of the Primarch Sanguinius so long ago. What chance did a mortal warrior, barely a few centuries old, have against such ancient evil? The Citadel Vigilant was a structure replete with ancient technologies, for its construction dated back to the early Imperium. The Fallen knew well what power lay in such artifacts. Amongst them was a fully functioning teleportarium, coaxed into life by Osandus and his technomantic allies. It was this asset that Abaddon used to strike directly at Calgar, his elite Terminators and their demon-possessed thralls alongside him. Chapter Master Calgar stood in the open atop the palace of Saints Haven, no longer protected by the Scryer baffles and Enigma circuits that had until now shielded him from swift assassination while he commanded the war efforts from the Vigilus Senate. Abaddon appeared in a blaze of actinic lights, already striding forward to meet the Loyalist Space Marine in combat as the flash of lightning that heralded his arrival faded. His Bringers of Despair teleported with him, appearing in a crackling dome of force, with their combi bolters laying down a hail of explosive bolts. The Ultramarines had been expecting such an assault, having seen a similar tactic on their flagship. They took a single step backwards, then charged as one, shield bashing the nearest Chaos Terminators away from their master in order to press the attack. Their counter-assault was devastatingly effective. By the time they were driven back by Abaddon's chosen 12 millennia-old traitors lay dead and bleeding on the ivory stairs. But the Ultramarines had lost 8 of their own number in the process. Worse, Abaddon had closed in on their Chapter Master. The burning spires above the duelists lit the sky red-black, the clouds of smoke forming strange and unsettling shapes as War Master and Chapter Master dueled to the death. Calgar dodged and feinted, giving ground behind fallen statuary and dropping to rise once more. The armor of Heracles gave him greater movement and reaction speed than any other warsuit he had worn before. By hammering out bolt rounds from the gauntlet of Ultramar, he kept his foe from bringing the deadly sword Draconian to bear. The Reavers, Suppressors, and Scouts, watching through their gun sights, knew that the Chapter Master was deliberately holding back, though none took a shot. With every second that the two combatants spent testing the other, watching and learning, so as to find the perfect moment to strike, Calgar's plan grew closer to fruition. To force Abaddon to retreat now would risk ruining everything. Incensed, Abaddon let loose with his combi bolter, explosive ammunition thundering from the talon of Horus to envelop Calgar in a storm of flame. One of the flagstones gave way under the Chapter Master's weight, and for a moment, he was thrown off balance. Suddenly, Abaddon was there, body to body, his talon of Horus ripping away one of Calgar's priceless gauntlets to expose a forearm splintered and shorn of skin. Balling his injured fist, the Lord of Macrack punched his assailant in the face hard enough to crack his jaw. The follow-up blow, a thunderous uppercut from Calgar's remaining power fist, lifted Abaddon clean from his feet and cracked his breastplates. The War Master's face contorted with anger. The air screamed around him, tendrils of demonic effluvia licking like flames from his blade. In came Draconian. Calgar made to block with his gauntlet, but the sword cut right through it, severing two of Calgar's fingers in the process. The blow rent apart the armor behind it, slashing open the Chapter Master's primary and secondary hearts in a single blow. Just as Calgar fell to the ground, Harkin Worldclaimer called to Abaddon across a codified Voxlink. The vengeful spirit was critically wounded and seconds away from destruction. It was effecting an emergency warp translation, and they had only moments before it vanished from the Vigilus system altogether. War Master, the spirit has been stricken amidship. The weak fool at its helm has ordered flight into the warp, likely using the attack to claim our flagship for himself. We must return, or risk losing it forever.